Okay, improve readability with high contrast text. It means like your text right over here should have a darker color, a much darker color as compared to the color of the background. Okay, Cameron Cat's choice of light gray text on the white background for his recent blog post has a 1.5:1 contrast ratio, making it hard to read. Okay, change the color of the text from current gray, okay, to a darker gray. So we just have to make it a darker gray, and which is 63663. Okay, and now you see the contrast is much better, which is a 6:1. Okay, run the test. Works. Submit. Okay, avoid color blindness issues by using sufficient contrast. Okay, yeah, makes sense. You see, the color are too similar to each other, and that's why we are having this color blindness thing, whatever this call it. Camper Cat is experimenting with using color for his blog post and background, but his current combination of greenish background color with a maroon text color has a 2.5, which is really bad. We needed something like 6:1 or something like that. You can easily adjust the lightness of the colors since he declared them using HSL property, which stands for yeah. So we just have to change the lightness by changing the third argument, increase the background color from 35 to 55 in the background color. Okay, from the 35 to 55. Okay, we did that. So it increased the lightness, so the background is more lighter in color, and the color from 20 to 15. Okay, so it will let me first tell you, it is gonna decrease the lightness, means the color, the color of the text is going to be more darker. So let's just make it 15%, and that doesn't make any much difference, but this is 15. Okay, makes sense. Go to the next one. Avoid color blindness issue by carefully choosing colors that convey information. Okay, some online color picking tools include visual simulation of how colors appear for different type of color blindness. These are great. I will tell you about some resources like these. Just a second. First of all, let's say what they want us to do. So yeah, color blindness here is because the green and the yellow color, they are almost so similar. So it's testing different style for an important button, but the yellow color and the background color green are neighboring hues in the color wheels and virtually indistinguishable from colorblind users. They are similar lightness philosophy. Okay, change the text color to dark blue. We have to change this color to dark blue, which is 003366. Okay, now it's visible. To solve both the problems, let's just go through with it. Okay, give links meanings by using descriptive link text. Let's see what we have to do is, okay, the link text that Camper Cat is using is not very descriptive without the surrounding context. Move the anchor tags so that they wrap around information about batteries instead of click here. Okay, yeah. This is because click here doesn't me convey a lot. Like, what will happen if we click here? So, like this text which is between our a tags, okay, become the clickable tag, okay, and this should be something valuable so that if it is around, let me show you. If it is around instead of click here, the information about batteries. Okay, so it should be. Wait, so then, okay. So it was click here for, and then information about batteries, and here should it end. You see, now click here for information about batteries. So this convey much more meaningful message. Like if we click on this link, then it's gonna show us information about the batteries. Let's just run the test and see what happened. Yep. Okay. Make links navigatable with HTML access key. Okay, HTML offers access key attribute to specify a shortcut key to activate or bring focus on an element. This can make navigation more efficient for keyboard only users. Okay, HTML5 allows this attribute to be used on elements. Okay, here's an example. Button access key is equals to B. Okay. Campaca wants the links around the two blog articles titled to have keyboard shortcuts so his site users can quickly navigate to the full story. Okay, add an access key attribute to both the links and set the first one to G for Garfield and C for Chuck Norris. Okay. Um so okay, let's find the first link. Where's the first link? It's right over here, and we don't have to do anything with the ref. And in the A tag, we just have to make changes to the access key. In the first two buttons, okay, add an access key attribute to both the links and set. Okay, so what both the links? Okay, yeah, the first link is right over here, so we have to create an access key which is gonna have a value of G, and here the access key is gonna have a value of C. Okay, what this do is G. I don't know how to use it. Okay, so when a user presses G or it creates some kind of shortcuts, and I don't know how to use them actually. So let's just go to the next challenge. This is loading a little slow. Use tab index to add keyboard focus to an element. Okay, tab index. Okay, so it's about the tab key on your keyboard. So when you click on the tab key, it jumps to the first element, then tab key again to this one, then tab key to this one. Okay, the HTML attribute has three distinct functions relating to elements keyboard focus. When it's on a tag, it indicates that element can be focused on the value, an integer that's positive, negative, zero determine the behavior. Then elements such as the links and form controls automatically receive keyboard focus when a user taps. It means if I click here, put a tab, you see, throughout everywhere on the website we can see stuff, right? So that was by pressing tab. Okay, I started over here, you see on the right side the tab is here. If I press the tab again here, and then makes sense. Campcat created a new survey to collect information about his users. He knows input fields automatically get keyboard focuses, but he wants to make sure his keyboard users pause at the instructions while tabbing through the items. Add a tab index attribute to the p tag and set its value to, okay, oh, okay, 0 actually, I guess. Bonus. Using tab index also enable the CSS pseudo class focus to work on the p tag. Okay, so add a tab index attribute to the p tag. Okay, to the p tag we have to add a called tab index, and we have to provide a property. Is it a O or a 0? Confusing. Okay, it can have integer values. A tab index, if I do remember exactly. Oh yeah, that's right. So yep, it can have integer values only. So makes sense. And then what's this bonus? Using tab index also enable the CSS pseudo class focus to work on the p tag. This is the first tests what happened after this. You see, we cannot go with the help of tab here. It is starting from here. Let me show you again. Oh, did you notice the p tag here? This one. Okay, it's 0. Okay, so whenever someone press a tab, okay, and the p tag is having this tab index equals to 0, then this here will be highlighted. Let me see. Okay, it worked. So that tab index was so that if someone is tabbing through and we want to make some like these elements are tabbable, so if I press the tab key here, they will be selected, right, the links and the input fields, but the text or headings aren't tabbable, so they won't be selected. But if I provide a tab index right over here and provide a value 0, go here back and then press a tab, okay, sometimes it. Okay, so you see a rectangle right over here. This is because of this tab index equals to 0. I don't want this for this one, so remove it. Use tab index to specify the order of keyboard focus for several element. Okay, setting a tab 1 will bring keyboard focus to that element first. Then it cycles through the sequencer of specified tab index values 2, 3, 4 before moving to the default and 0. Okay, here's an example. Makes sense. Okay, so if this h1 is gonna have a value of tab index equals to 3, then this one, wait, this one is gonna be press 1. Tab index 1 will bring a keyword focus to the element first, then it cycles to the sequence of specified tab index. Yeah, so let's say this one is having a value of 3 and here the tab index is having a value of 1. Okay, let me show you. So if I press a tab, it went to that. Okay, h1 here. Okay, let me show you again. It's here. If I remove this here, if I make this one and if I make this 3, let's see what will happen. Ready? Okay, it's still the same. You see, this time the complete navigation bar was selected. Oh, just a second. Okay, you see this complete navigation bar was selected. This is because I made this a tabable. Okay, so let's just stick to what they want us to do. Okay, has a search field on his inspiration quit page. Then he plans to position in the upper right corner with the css. He wants the search input and the submit input form controls to be the first two items in the tab order. Add a tab index attribute set 1 to search and 2 to submit. To the search, put a tab index 1 and a tab index 2 to submit. Okay, let's just run the test. Works. With the next one. Okay, finished. Go to the first lesson. Okay, responsive web design principle. Create a media query. How to create a media query. So media queries are, we have been through media queries. It is for defining different kind of css for different um you can say size of the websites like or the size of the browsers. Let's say right now I'm on a laptop, so the size is 1920 into 720. Okay, so I can define different css for this size, and for a mobile device I can define different size with the help of media queries. Okay, the like this media query written over here, media and then max with 100 pixels means that, and then some css. Okay, so it means that if the maximum width of the device is 100 pixels, then this css rule will be applied. Okay, if the minimum height of the device is 350 pixels, then this css rule will apply. It's that simple. Add a media query so that the p tag has a font size of 10 pixels. Okay, when the device height is less than or equal to 800 pixels. So type at the rate media. Okay, inside brackets type when the height is less than. Okay, so I can type max height. Okay, which is 800 pixels. Okay, and then here we have to define this what's the font size. Font size to be 10 pixels. Okay, let's just try this. Yep, it's working. Run the test. Worked. Go to the next one. Okay, make an image responsive. Okay, making images responsive with CSS is actually very simple. Instead of applying an absolute width to an element, okay, image width itna, you can use max with 100% display block height auto. Let's try this. Max width property 100% scales the image to the fit the width of its container at the width image. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's just try this. Add CSS rules for the image to make it responsive. Says the container it should display as a block level element. It should be full width. Okay, let's just style it quickly. So we have to style this image. Remember this, it's gonna be same for most of the time. So max width 100%. I'm gonna do a little changes later to show you. Display, wait, yeah, display, it's gonna be a block. Okay, and the height is gonna be auto. Okay, how does this make these images responsive. If I do this, okay, it should work. This free code cam compiler is really stupid. Okay, but this code here just makes them responsive. Run the test. I'm gonna explain this. Like max width made these images to be the to expand, okay, up to the size of the containers in which they are put it, okay, and then display block just made them a block level images, and height auto make them expand automatically. Okay, if we have assigned some values like 25 pixels here, then their height wouldn't increase. Okay, so it's like when you crop an image, there is two types. Okay, you can crop the image in freestyle, or you can keep the what's that called, the shape or the original pixels of the image unchanged, right? So if you put an auto here in the height, okay, then the original resolution of the image won't be distorted. Okay, so that's important. Okay, you can change either just put either one of them in auto and change the other one, and it will be fine. Run the test. Go to the next one. Okay, use a retina image for higher resolution displays. Okay, the simplest way to make your images appear retina and optimize them for retina displays is to define their width and height values as only half of what their original file is. Okay, height 250 pixels with 250 pixels image, cool pic 500. Okay, so this is a 500 pixel into 500 pixel image, and we are just defining their height and width half and half. Okay, so that's for retina display. Set the width and the height of the image to the half of the original values. In this case, both the original height and the original width are 200 pixels, so we just have to put a width of 200 pixels and a height of 200 pixels. Okay, run the test. Should work. What? Oh, okay, yeah. So the actual height is 200 pixels, so we have to modify it to 200 pixels. Yeah, okay, makes sense. So this way the image is much more clear. Okay, so keep the width and the height of your image half the pixels of the original size. Okay, if the size of the image is 300 into 300, then keep the height and the width to 150 into 150. Make typography responsive. Okay, the four different viewport. Okay, let's just read this. Instead of using em or px to size text, yep, we are sizing the text. You can use viewport units for responsive. Viewport units like percentages are relative units, but they are based off different item. Viewport unit related to the viewport dimension with or height of a device. Percent related to the size of the parent container, etc. Okay, so viewport means like if you put a viewport vw 10 VW, then it means like whatever is the width of the device. Let's say if it's a laptop, it's gonna be a 1920 pixels, so it's gonna put 10% of that width. Okay, it's gonna take 10% of that width. So if it's 1920, it's gonna take 10% of it, which is 192, and then it's gonna size that as 192. Let me show you quickly. If I go to H2, okay, put a font size to 10 VW. Okay, you see the size increase because now the size is 192 pixels. Okay, I don't know if it is exactly that. Let's just try. Yep, I knew that. So 10% of the viewports width, or it's just a 10% of the covered one, not the actual 10%. This is because it's taking the width of this box right over here. Set the width of the H2 tag to 80% of the viewport width. Okay, 80% of the viewport width, and the width of the paragraph is 75% of the viewport's smaller dimensions. Okay, wait, it wanted us to do the 80% of the viewport's width. Okay, and the width of the paragraph tag as 75%. Okay, of vmin. Is this correct? H2 should have a width of, oh, makes sense. Yep, we ain't changing the font size, we are doing the width. That's why it wasn't working. Yep. Okay. Sorry. we have to change the width property. Okay, now it should work. Okay, it's just loading. Okay, just completed one more section. Just go to the next one quickly. Use display flex to position two boxes. Okay, this section uses alternating challenges styles to show how to use css to position elements in a flexible way. First a challenge will explain theory, then a practical challenge using a simple tweet component. Okay, whatever. Add a css property display to the box container, this one here, and set its value to flex. Okay, just simply set it to display and set its value to flex. Run the test. Makes sense. Go to the next one. It's loading really slow. Okay, add flag superpowers to the tweet embedded. To the right in the tweet embedded that will be used as a practical tweet embedded. Okay, yeah, here. Some of the example. Okay, let's just quickly go to here. This start from here. Add the CSS property display flags to all the following items. Note that the selectors are already set up in the CSS header. The headers dot profile name. The headers follow the headers. Itna. Okay, so I guess we have to make we have to add this to each of them. Okay, let's just quickly copy it then. Okay, we have to add it here also. Okay, we have to add it here. Okay, and here also. Somewhere else. Footer. Yeah, footer also. And the footer stats. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, let's try this. Run the test, and it worked. It's just asking us to add it, so it's nothing complicated. Okay, let's just come back to this one. Use the flex direction property to make a row. Add flag display to an element. Turn it into okay, whatever. Add the CSS property flex direction to the box container here and give it a value of row reverse. Okay, so flex direction and a property of reverse, right? Row reverse. Okay, so it didn't switch the values. Let me explain the code. Okay, so our box container here, this box container is enclosing these two boxes, box 1 and box 2. When we define a display flags here, okay, then this box container gets a css value of display flags. Okay, this means, and then due to display flags, okay, these two also became flex boxes. Okay, and when we define a width 50 and height 50%, okay, so they became rectangles, and these two rectangles get arranged as rows, right, next to each others. And when we put a property flex direction row reverse in this box container which is enclosing these two boxes, you see here, it reversed the way they were placed. Okay, so the red one becomes first and it becomes second. Okay, apply the flex direction property to create rows in the tweet embed. Okay, add the css property flex direction to both the header and the footer. Set the values to row. Here add flex direction and set the property to row. See the changes on the right side. Just quickly add it here also. We have to do the same at the footer. Okay, just run it. Works. Go to the next one. Okay, use the flex direction property to make a column. Now we're gonna make columns with the flex direction property. Let's see what happens. Then it should be one below the other. So let's just I have it in the clipboard. So column. Okay, as I said, the one below the other. It's simple, not too tough. If this is the container which is containing the two boxes, okay, this box and this box. Okay, if you place flex direction column in the parent box, then it's gonna place them like this. If you place a row, then it's gonna place it like rows, like this. Okay, makes sense. Run the test with the next one. Apply the flex direction property to create a column in the tweet embedded. Okay, add the CSS property flex direction to headers, profile, name, elements, set the value to column. Here we have to make it columns, so these appears like columns. See the changes on the right side. Okay, column, makes sense. The next one. Okay, align elements using the justify content property. Okay, let's just quickly see how to do this, and we will go through each of them with practical instead of theory. So an example helps shows this property in action. Add the CSS property justify content to the box container. Okay, just justify content and give it a value center. See on the right side right now. Okay, so what happened is we still have two boxes. Okay, now these two boxes are centered, means the left and the right margin are equal. Okay, let's see what happens if I do a space around. Okay, okay, so now they are centered, they are really centered, but they have a little space in between them. Okay, that's the only difference. That's the space around. Let's see what space between. Okay, so now the left margin is 0 for this block, the right margin is 0 for this block, and they are completely separated, or you can say that they are at the maximum distance they could be, because they cannot leave this block or this website. Okay, so they are at the maximum distance um, away from each other. So space between, space around. What's flex end? Let's see what will happen if I do a flex end. Flex end. Okay, so what flex end do, it just shifts them to one of the it, or you can say at the end of the box. Okay, so it leaves the maximum margin on the left side. Okay, and shift the blocks completely in the right side. Okay, that's why it's, and if I do a start, it will be on the left side. See, like this. Okay, makes sense. For this we just wanted them to be centered, so I can type center. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next one. Use the justify content property in the tweet embedded. Add the CSS property justify content to the headers element and set the value to any of the options from the last challenge. Okay, so justify content, and we have to provide any value from the last one. Let's say center. Okay, run the test. Looks good. Using the align items elements. Okay, using the align items property. Align items property is a part of the flex box, or the one we are reading right now. It have the same things, just these properties are new. Stretch and baseline. Let me show you. Okay, add the CSS property align items to the box container element. Here align items. Okay, and then I'm gonna use baseline. Well, let's say what will happen if I do baseline. You see, so they sticked to the upper side. Okay, so they left the maximum margin they can on the bottom side. Okay, and why they didn't stick completely up, this is because they have text inside it. Okay, so they have to leave some specific distance between the text. Okay, so if I remove the text from the inside, let me show you. Just see. Okay, you see now the width is decreased to 0. You can actually not see the blue one. Okay, the blue blocks. This is because now it can shift 100% up. but because there was text, so that's why it wasn't shifting completely up. Okay, that was baseline. Okay, stretches them up. What will happen if I do stretch, a stretch? They are already completely stretched. Stretch just makes their height and width 100% to that of the parents. Okay, so the parents container is box container, its height is 500 pixels, so the stretch will make the height of box 1 and box 2 also 500 pixels, and that was already that, so makes sense. So that's why we cannot see any difference. What will happen if I do a flex start? Okay, they are almost same and confusing. Let's see what will happen if I do a flex end. Okay, the flex and bring them at the bottom. That's similar to baseline or opposite of flex start. Flex start and baseline are almost same. Flex end is opposite to flex start. Okay, and stretch won't work in this one. What they wanted us to do is to provide a center, and I guess you know what will happen if I type a R and center. They are the center, leaving equal margin from the top and the bottoms. Okay, submit. Use the align items property in the tweet embedded. Okay, add the css property align items to the headers follow button here and set the value to the center. So align items and a value of center. Okay, you saw the change in the button. Run the test. Works. Go to the next one. Okay, just wait a second. Okay, use the flex wrap property to wrap a row or column. Okay, so now we got a new property called wrap. The current layout has too many boxes for one row. Yep. And add the CSS property flex wrap to the box container element, give it a property wrap. Let's see what happens if I do this. Flex wrap. Okay. And the property value of wrap. Okay. So it assigns some specific width to each of the element. Okay, and it does not minimizes the width anymore. Means like it sets a minimum width for the element. Okay, and when the elements are filled in a particular row, it shifts the rest element down. Okay, so it's like people are contained in a are standing in a queue. Okay, and you said that each person is gonna have a 1 meter distance. When more people are in coming in the queue, and there is a wall behind. Okay, so they have to make a new queue. Okay, so it's just like that. Okay, so now you have to go to the next row because this row is already full. Run the test. Works. Go to the next one. Okay, just a second. I guess my internet connection is a bit slow. Okay, use the flex shrink property to shrink items. Add css property flex shrink to both box 1 and box 2, value of 1. And okay, let's just try this. So we have to type flex shrink and 1 here. Okay, and what if I type a flex shrink and a 2 value here? Oh, what's wrong? Okay, sorry. First of all this, and then it's a flex. Now you see what it does. It's just like ratio and proportion from childhood. So now this is gonna have shrinking, just the you can think of the ratios as just the opposite. Okay, so when we are using flex shrink, we have 1:2, but due to shrink it's just the opposite, so it's 2:1. Okay, so the width of this is gonna be 2 times whatever is the width of this. Okay, let me show you. If I do width of let's say 80 90%, then this is gonna have more width. Now if I do a width of 110%, you see it's quite increasing. If I do a 200%, okay, it is never gonna, even if I do 400%, okay, it's in at some point it should be equal to the right one. Okay, I don't know at what point. Let's just make it 100%. Okay, and due to shrink, the ratios are just opposite, so this is going to be 2 times of whatever this is. Run the test. Okay, makes sense. There should be the grow function now. Flex grow. Okay, use the flex grow property to expand it. Now the ratios will be equal, like in the forward direction as they are. So flex grow and 1. Okay, and this is gonna be flex and then grow. This is gonna have a value of 2, and now you see the ratios are correct. This is 1, this is 2, so this is gonna be 2 times the width of whatever this is. Okay, so let's say the width is 200 pixels right over here, it's height, but let's say the width is 200 pixels, then this is gonna be width of 400 pixels, always just the double of whatever the size is of this box. Okay, run the test. Makes sense. With the next one, use the flex basis property to set the initial size of an item. Okay, so the flex basis property, so okay, yeah, these are the basic properties. Set the initial size of an box using flex basis. Add the css property flex basis to both the box and box 2, give box 1 a value of 10 em. Okay, flex basis. Okay, so flex basis, this is just another way of sizing your um css bodies, em. Okay, and then flex basis, and then uh, 20 em is just a unit, it's like pixels. Okay, this is same as typing flex grow 1 and 2, or flex shrink 1 and 2. Actually, for the flex shrink it should be 2 and 1. Run the test. Go to the next one. The flex box is just for like making your content aligned throughout your website. Okay, so that some of your boxes are not floating to the right, few of them are floating to the left, to make them centered, to make them aligned, okay, in a perfect way. So that's what flex boxes are used. Okay, so use the flex box shorthand property. Now we got some shorthand property, they save us time, but if you don't remember them exactly, they're gonna waste your time. So add css property flex to both the boxes, box 1 box 2, give box 1 the values flex grow 2, flex shrink 2, flex basis 150 pixels. Okay, these values will case box 1 to, okay, whatever. Let's just quickly do this with the shorthand property. Okay, the first one is going to be the flex grow property, and we wanted it to be 2, and then the second one is going to be flex shrink property, which is 2, and the flex basis is going to be 150 pixels. Okay, so this is the flex grow, flex flex shrink, and then flex basis. Then repeating it again. For this one we wanted it, right, I'm reading it from here. Okay, for this one I wanted it to be 1 for the flex grow, 1 for the flex shrink, and 150 pixels. Okay, makes sense. Run the test. Worked. Use the order property to rearrange items. Okay, and the css property order to the box 1 and box 2, give it a value of 2 and a value of 1. Okay, so let's just quickly do this. Order value of 2, and here a value of 1. Okay, do you see any change? The box one is the Dodger blue one. You see here, it should be the first one. Okay, but due to the order property, it's the second one. If I do a 1 here, okay, you see it's back again, right? If I do a 0, you see it switch again. If I do a -1, it should switch again. No, 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 this is negative, so this should come first. So -2, I don't know if it works or not. Yeah, it works. So this property comes before now because this is prior. Okay, so let show you again 0 and 1. Okay, so that's why with the one which is smaller in the order will come first. Okay, we wanted them to have a value of 2 and 1. Okay, makes sense. Run the test. Let's go to the next one. Okay, use the align self property. So we got align items. We are using a lot of align properties. This is align self. At the CSS property, align self to both box 1 and box 2. Okay, box 1 and box 2. Give box 1 a value of center. Okay, here. So align self and give it a value of center, and then so now it's not aligning in comparison to this one, it's aligning in comparison to its parent element, which is the box container. Okay, previously it was getting aligned in comparison to the red box. Now we have to provide align self. Okay, so align self and a property of flex and okay, let's just run it. It's loading. I guess I didn't click it actually. Okay, use the cell. Okay, introduction to the CSS grid challenge. So we covered one more. I think it's time for a break.